Affairs Committee together. Thanks to the members that are here and thanks to our witnesses that are here. We are focusing today on the 40-mile rule as was published by the notice for this hearing. And I want to thank Sloan Gibson for being here today and Dr. Tushmet, thank you for coming. I also want to acknowledge the release by the Veterans Administration yesterday of an approach to the 40-mile rule in terms of distance to go by miles driven rather than crow flies miles. Makes a lot of sense. What doesn't make a lot of sense is it took so long to come to that decision, but I'm glad you finally did. I think the committee's pressure on some of the things we've talked about in terms of the 40-mile rule, in terms of the care a veteran needs and determining factors, something we're going to have to focus on. I know the care need issue is something that may take a statutory fix, but we're going to work with you to do that. But I want to encourage you to tell Secretary McDonald that we acknowledged how fast the VA was able to move once they realized we weren't going to move. And we were going to stay rigid and stay committed to getting the 40-mile rule fixed. There are other things we want to fix as well. The construction problems in Denver, we want to find out what we can do to make things like that not happen again. We want to see to it the care that veterans need is something that they get. And also understand this. With the change in the 40-mile rule that you're proposing, which it refers to you're beginning to work on, I hope that'll be a fast beginning to work on period because the veterans need it. We understand the burn rate on the appropriated money for Veterans Choice will accelerate as we accelerate accessibility. But don't use that as an excuse not to do something. My job and Richard's job and the members of the Senate is to get more money if we need to and to find it. It's not to make excuses as to why we can't do things for our veterans. So the veterans expect us to deliver, and I expect you all to deliver. We'll do it right. We'll do it right the first time, and we'll be committed to it. So I appreciate very much the Secretary's movement. Appreciate it. We're now not talking about what we can't do, but we're now talking about what we can do. But please understand, don't let the burn rate be a reason you cannot do something. I'd rather have a good problem, and that's need more money to see to it our veterans are being helped, than make excuses and tell a veteran who risks his life for us that we just can't help him, and that's just not right. With that said, I'll turn it over to the ranking member, Senator Blumenthal.
Thanks.
Let me tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to get ranking member Blumenthal's chief of staff and my chief of staff in touch with you this coming week when the break starts. And during the 2-week break between our staff and your staff, we ought to be able to come up with the legislative language you need to authorize whatever you need. And I think the faster we act on that, the better off we. I don't think there's any disagreement on the committee, is there? So I think the faster while we're gone, we'll leave the work with you, Sloan. When we come back, we'll try and get a Rule 14 if it takes it and get it on the floor and get it done.
Thank you very much.
You know, and this is not an accusation, but it's a statement. We are where we are today because some people in the VA, a minority, manipulated numbers on appointments, underserved veterans, and everything blew up. It blew up in Phoenix, it blew up in other places. It appears to me if you're already giving non-VA care to 17.5% of your appointments, that we're using an excuse, I'm making a general statement here, as to why we're not serving the veterans under Veterans Choice. So if there is a legislative impediment, let's fix it. Let's get it done because our intent is to see to it the veterans get the service.
Yes.
Now, and I'm saying this as one member of the Senate, I'm not speaking for the committee, but if the financial burden to the Senate burns the money that we appropriate out sooner than later, that's a good problem to have because we're getting our veterans the care they deserve. And we'll have to find that money because we've made a promise to the veterans that I want to see work. And as long as the VA is doing everything it can do to see to it that the veterans are not, as you said, Sloan, frustrated, but in fact are pleased with the service and the communication they get, then I think we'll all be better off. So if Richard agrees with that, we get our chiefs together with the department, I think we can come up with that legislative language by the time we return in April.
Thank you.
Okay? Senator Blumenthal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I do completely concur